Tired of stressing about your business? Don't you wish that you could hand over the reins to someone that knows what they're doing? I spent years running two businesses at the same time, not getting ahead in the way that I wanted, dancing on the verge of burnout, almost giving it all up. But then I learned a secret: how to make God my CEO. Give God decision-making power over my life. It worked, got me unstuck. It helped me build the multi-six-figure coaching business that I have today. And I will be sharing with you in the next couple minutes how you can build the relationship with God and what it means to have God be the CEO in your business so that you can get unstuck and build the kind of thriving and meaningful business that you're looking for. Let's dive in. When I was running All and Sundry, my custom shoe brand in New York, I found myself getting stuck consistently, week after week. Despite working my ass off for 7 days a week and not having a social life, I felt something was missing in my business. That's why I chose to start a coaching business. The coaching business took a long time for me to take off. In the early days, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have someone that I could lean on to help me with figuring out the right way to move forward. With my old business, I hated the fact that I didn't feel that my business was making any meaningful impact. Customers loved the shoes, but was I truly making a change in their life? On top of that, I didn't like the fact that I was limited in my earning potential. The coaching business would help me tick both boxes: change lives and make money. But it wasn't until I had an ayahuasca ceremony that everything began to change for me. At the time, I had no idea what ayahuasca is. I was invited by a friend who had done the ceremony and looked like a changed man. I asked him, "What did you do to bring out this inside of you?" He told me, and he invited me to a ceremony in upstate New York. I was skeptical but open to it. I wasn't a believer. I didn't believe in a higher power. I was the kind of guy that if you did tell me that there is a God, I would have a logical discussion with you and try to win the argument just so I could feel good about myself. When I went into the ceremony, something incredibly profound happened that made me believe in God. I processed and faced so much of the trauma, emotions I had been accumulating that I had just been avoiding: the fear, anger, sadness, shame, guilt. For the first time in my life, I had a space where I could let it all go. But here's the part that made me believe in God. I had this experience during this whole time, even though I was struggling during the ceremony, crying for hours, and I was faced with so much fear. There was this force that held me. It's a bit difficult to put into words, but it felt like something wrapped its arms around me and said, "I've got you, my child. You're safe with me. It doesn't matter what you did, where you've been. I got you and I love you." It was an experience that shattered my belief that there is no God, no higher power. From that point onward, I started to have other types of encounters, which are difficult to put into words, but I'll do my best. I had a breathwork ceremony that my wife guided called holotropic breathing. Wim Hof does something like that. I don't identify with any religion. In that experience, I had a Jesus encounter. It came from feeling totally anxious, overwhelmed, like I was suffocating from my own fears, and then in an instant shifted, and I had this feeling of love, safety. All I could think about was Jesus. That happened a second time, a couple months later, in the Amazon forest, where I did another ayahuasca ceremony. I remember myself being on the floor, again, overcome by fears, emotions, and not being able to think clearly. I didn't pray. I was just there. And this shift from panic to total relaxation, overcome by love. The only thought I had was Jesus. Understand this: I never read the Bible. Up to that point, I didn't know much about Jesus other than what I have heard about in popular culture. But I never made an effort to build a relationship with Jesus. After that, became clear to me was, Mario, stop seeking. Stop looking for answers. Start being. Instead of looking for another thing to fix about myself, I shifted to, let me be that which I seek. Let me be loving. Let me be peaceful. Let me be joyful. Let me be powerful. I didn't have to continuously look for answers instead of just being that. This is also where I came a lot closer in the relationship to God, where I started to ask God for guidance. God begins where the mind ends. What helped me was to understand that my mind is operating in polarity: good, bad, right, wrong. That's the egoic mind. In the egoic mind, you're not going to find God, because God doesn't play in polarity. God is beyond polarity. Develop a strong relationship with God. What tends to happen is your plans stop working. This is frightening, but also empowering and liberating. How many times when I wanted to enforce an outcome in my business, chasing a client, chasing a deal, working on some project, it wouldn't go through. I would just try to make it happen. For some reason, something would always fall through. I realized God's plan is greater than my egoic plan. From the very limited knowledge I have, is a highly disempowered perspective. When I allowed myself to listen more to God's guidance, requires you to get into a state of presence, to be in the now. And you hear these little voices like, call your mother, go to that cafe, reach out to that client. Some things won't make sense. If you just keep following that intuitive voice from God, you're going to be brought to places where things will not necessarily make sense. They may even be uncomfortable to your egoic mind, but when you move through them, on the other side are beautiful opportunities and experiences you get from that. Another thing that helped me is to identify beliefs I have that are based in scarcity. Number one is this idea that there's not enough opportunities or money to go around. I transformed that into an abundant belief. There is an infinite amount of opportunities and money for me to continuously create without end. The other one is a belief I often see religious people talk about, this idea that you have to prove your worth to God by working hard, fulfilling a specific kind of purpose, by doing the right things. If you're not doing the right things, you are not in God's favor anymore. And this is sort of the idea of this vengeful God that is angry at you when you're not acting according to how you're supposed to be a good person. That may trigger some religious people, but that's okay. This is my story and my channel. So if you don't agree with that, this might not be for you. I turned it into, I am valuable and worthy of love and abundance simply because I exist. I am already forgiven of any mistake I made simply because I exist. These beliefs form an abundant mindset where your relationship to God is no longer blocked by scarcity beliefs that take you out of the present moment, take you into the future with anxiety, take you into the past with depression and sadness. The more you do this work, the more you activate your intuition. That can be scary because some things will stop working and you call that stuck, you call that wrong, you call that a misstep, you call that failure, but it needed to fail for you to be open to the path God wants you to be on. I can only recommend from my own experience that when you allow God to be the decision-making factor in your life, it will not always make sense. You're still going to struggle. You're still going to encounter moments where it feels like you're lost. It feels like you're on the wrong path. But all you need to do is come back to the present moment, get quiet, listen to your intuition, which is around your heart space. The more quiet you become, the more you can hear it, and that will inform your decision-making process. And with that, my friend, I firmly believe you are off to building a thriving business and a meaningful life. If you want to know what to do when you're feeling stuck and have no clue what actions to take, then I recommend that you check out this video right here, and I'll give you some more guidance and resources. I'll see you in there. Peace out.